invest in Malaysia from the perspective of Chinese investor from China. This video compiles information from public sources that we have not independently verified and makes no guarantees about its accuracy, completeness, or suitability for any purpose. The content of this video is provided for general informational use only and should not replace professional advice tailored to your specific circumstances. While we hope you find it helpful, we recommend consulting qualified experts before making decisions based on this material and welcome further discussion about its application to your situation. This comprehensive video is structured into 11 key sections. Part 1 provides a country overview of Malaysia. Part 2 examines China-Malaysia bilateral relations. Parts 3 to 5 detail Malaysia's 2024 tax policies, legal framework, and lay-by social security system for investors. Part 6 specifically addresses employment regulations for Chinese companies in Malaysia. Part 7 to 9 highlight government-supported industries, foreign investment incentives, and industry-specific ownership restrictions. Part 10 outlines risks and challenges for Chinese investors, with a final section offering strategic investment conclusions and practical recommendations. Part 1. Overview of Malaysia. Malaysia is a strategically located Southeast Asian nation divided into Peninsular Malaysia and East Malaysia, which comprises Sabah and Sarawak, with 80% of its 32 million people residing in the more developed western region. The country functions as a federal constitutional monarchy with a unique rotational kingship system and enjoys natural disaster protection due to its geographic positioning, while maintaining key maritime importance through the Strait of Malacca. Although generally stable, Malaysia faces occasional territorial tensions, particularly regarding the Philippines' claim over Sabah, and has complex historical ties with neighboring Singapore and Brunei. Malaysia is a resource-rich nation with significant geographical features. For example, Kenya Lake, located in West Malaysia, is Southeast Asia's largest artificial lake. Mount Kinabalu, the third highest peak of an island on Earth, the 28th highest peak in Southeast Asia, and the 20th most prominent mountain in the world. Malaysia is the world's second-largest palm oil producer, contributing 25% of the global supply. The country has a diverse population of 32.67 million, predominantly the Bumiputera being the largest population. Malays, Chinese, and Indians coexist in a multicultural society, where Malay is the official language alongside widely spoken English and Mandarin. With 330,411 square kilometers of land area, Malaysia has maintained stable economic growth, averaging 2.9% GDP and 1.57% inflation annually over the past 5 years, though Islamic laws impose certain dietary restrictions on its Muslim majority. Part 2. The relationship between Malaysia and China. Malaysia is a Southeast Asian country situated relatively close to China, with the shortest distance being approximately 1,300 kilometers or 800 miles between China's Hainan Island and Malaysia's northern peninsular coast. When measured from mainland China's Guangdong province to peninsular Malaysia, the distance increases to roughly 2,000 kilometers or 1,240 miles. This proximity has historically facilitated trade and cultural exchanges between the two nations. The strategic alignment between Malaysia and China is anchored by deep economic ties, with China serving as its largest trading partner for 16 straight years, and in trade volume in the year 2024 was over $210 billion. Malaysia maintains a rare trade surplus through exports of electronics and semiconductors, supported by global tech giants operating locally despite limited domestic research and development capabilities. Politically, Malaysia's influential ethnic Chinese community, representing 22.6% of the population, holds substantial economic and political clout, with a Chinese-led DAP opposition party prompting the government to foster China-friendly policies to secure votes, while Chinese Malaysians' cultural ties to China shape pro-China sentiments. This alignment is further reinforced by shared linguistic and media influences, as Malaysian Chinese educated in simplified Mandarin often sympathize with China's geopolitical positions, perceiving Western criticism as biased. China has been instrumental in financing and building key Malaysian infrastructure projects like Kuala Lumpur's subway, Penang Sea Bridge, and the East Coast Railway, providing crucial low-interest loans, such as 89.1 billion renminbi, that help Malaysia manage its substantial foreign debt of $270 billion that represents 63% of GDP. A flagship project is a royal port located at Malacca Gateway, a strategic deep-water port in the busy Strait of Malacca that is located 150 kilometers from Kuala Lumpur and 200 kilometers from Singapore, whose first phase encompasses basic port infrastructure, is set for completion by 2026. When fully operational by 2030, its 20-meter deep berths will handle 400,000-ton megaships, surpassing Singapore's current capacity and strengthening Malaysia's position along this vital global trade route, which handles 40% of world trade. The Malacca Gateway deep-water port will significantly reduce China's reliance on Singapore by enabling direct docking of its megaships, cutting oil import transit costs by 15 to 20% while potentially diverting 30% of Singapore's transshipment volume to Malaysia by 2035 and creating over 10,000 jobs. This strategic project exemplifies how Malaysia's partnership with China delivers mutual economic and geopolitical benefits, strengthening their bilateral ties. Ultimately, Malaysia's alignment with China reflects pragmatic considerations of economic needs, infrastructure development, and domestic political factors, positioning Malaysia as China's key ASEAN ally. Part 3. Malaysia Tax Overview for Investors. Malaysia offers foreign investors a competitive yet straightforward tax system, featuring a standard 24% corporate tax rate with preferential treatments like reduced 15% rates for SMEs and pioneer status benefits that range from 0 to 10% rates for priority sectors, alongside substantial capital expenditure allowances. The personal income tax system applies progressive rates, with 0 to 30%, for residents, while non-residents face a flat 30% rate, with expatriates taxed only on local income. These balanced fiscal policies enhance Malaysia's appeal as an investment destination by combining business-friendly incentives with clear compliance frameworks. Malaysia's indirect taxation operates under a simplified sales and service tax, SST, system, applying 5% to 10% sales tax on manufactured imported goods and 6% service tax on select sectors, while exempting essential items to ease compliance burdens. The country maintains an investor-friendly 0% capital gains tax for most investments, though property sales by foreigners incur a 30% real property gains tax, known as RPGT, if sold within 5 years. However, if only sold after the 5th year, it will reduce to 10%. Notably, short-term share trading may be taxed as business income at standard rates, preserving Malaysia's balanced approach to encouraging long-term investment while regulating speculative activities. Malaysia's single-tier tax system prevents dividend double taxation with 0% withholding tax for shareholders, though non-residents receiving interest or royalties may incur 10% to 15% withholding tax. Property transactions face 1% to 4% stamp duty, and it is higher for foreigners, while share transfers are taxed at 0.1% to 0.3%, and import duties range from 0 to 50%, with exemptions in free trade zone for export manufacturing. The government further attracts foreign investment through regional headquarters incentives of a 10% tax rate and pioneer status programs offering tax exemptions for strategic industries. Malaysia offers investors attractive benefits, including zero capital gains tax on most investments, a simplified SST regime, and an extensive network of tax treaties to reduce withholding taxes. Foreign investors should note higher property-related taxes like RPGT and stamp duties, along with potential income tax implications for short-term trading activities. Strategic opportunities exist through sector-specific incentives in high-growth areas like fintech and renewable energy, which can substantially lower overall tax liabilities for qualifying projects. Part 4. Malaysia's Legal Framework Overview for Investors. Malaysia provides foreign investors with a well-regulated legal framework that allows 100% foreign ownership in export-focused manufacturing and promoted sectors, while imposing 30% to 70% equity caps in sensitive industries like agriculture and services, with additional state-level restrictions in Sarawak and Sabah. The Companies Act 2016 requires businesses to register with SSM, appoint a resident director, and obtain sector-specific licenses from regulators like MIDA or SC for operations. This system balances investor-friendly policies with necessary protections, though compliance with varying regional and sectoral regulations remains crucial for successful market entry. As mentioned in Part 3, Malaysia's taxation system under the Income Tax Act 1967 applies a standard 24% corporate tax rate with reduced rates for eligible projects, along with 10% to 15% withholding taxes for non-residents and a 5% to 10% SST on goods, or 6% on services, while adhering to OECD transfer pricing guidelines. The Employment Act 1955 regulates labor conditions, requiring expatriates to obtain specific passes based on salary or skills, with foreign firms needing RM 500,000 plus capital to hire foreign staff. Property acquisition by foreigners is permitted for properties valued at RM 1 million, with disposals within 5 years subject to RPGT rates up to 30%. Malaysia safeguards intellectual property through the Trademarks and Patents Acts administered by MyIPO, while the PDPA regulates personal data handling to ensure privacy compliance. Environmental regulations under the Environmental Quality Act 1974 mandate EIA for sensitive projects, and the Malaysia Stock Exchange, Bursa, ESG reporting requirements promote corporate sustainability practices. The country's common law system provides transparent commercial dispute resolution, with arbitration rulings enforceable under the Arbitration Act 2005 in accordance with international standards. Malaysia offers investors attractive opportunities, including tax incentives, full foreign ownership in export manufacturing, and a thriving digital economy, though challenges like sectoral equity restrictions and regional regulatory variations, such as Sabah's oil-related SST, require careful navigation. To optimize investments, businesses should consult with agencies like MIDA or InvestKL and seek local legal expertise to address sector-specific compliance requirements. The country's legal system effectively balances investor-friendly policies with national protections, making thorough due diligence and engagement with government support channels essential for successful market entry. Part 5. Overview of Labor Relations and Social Security in Malaysia. Malaysia's comprehensive labor and social security framework balances worker protections with business efficiency, requiring foreign investors to comply for successful operations. This overview details key aspects of the system from an investor perspective, covering essential regulations and compliance requirements. Malaysia's labor relations framework, anchored by the Employment Act 1955, amended 2022, establishes fair workplace standards including 48-hour work weeks, termination protections, and an RM1 500 monthly minimum wage, covering employees earning less than or equal to RM 4000 and all manual workers. Foreign employers must comply with sector-specific worker quotas, for example, manufacturing's 40% limit, and recognize that while foreign workers can't unionize, their rights are contractually protected under the Industrial Relations Act 1967's dispute resolution mechanisms. Malaysia's social security system mandates employer contributions of 13% to EPF. EPF is a retirement saving for locals or permanent residents. Also, there is a 1.25% contribution to SOCSO, representing work injury coverage for all workers, while employees contribute 11% and 0.5% respectively. These schemes ensure comprehensive protection, with EPF securing post-retirement finances and SOCSO covering workplace injuries across all worker categories, including foreign employees. Malaysia's social security system includes the Employment Insurance System, EIS, for citizens, which is 0.4% from employer and 0.2% from employee contributions. Furthermore, there is a 1% HRDF levy for sector-specific training. While foreign workers are exempt from EPF or EIS but require SOCSO coverage in private medical insurance. The minimum private medical insurance is RM 50,000. These balanced regulations protect worker rights and support business needs, enabling foreign investors to maintain compliant operations while fostering workforce stability and productivity. Part 6. Can Chinese companies send employees to work in Malaysia? Chinese companies can deploy employees to Malaysia by obtaining employment passes for white-collar workers, which requires a minimum RM 5000 salary and company sponsorship, or work permits for blue-collar workers that are subject to industry quotas like manufacturing's 40% cap. Both require medical coverage and compliance with local labor regulations. While professionals may qualify for short-term professional visit passes, all foreign workers must meet specific conditions, including SOCSO enrollment for blue-collar staff and proof of unmet local labor demand for quota approval. Chinese companies can send employees to work in Malaysia by obtaining the appropriate work passes, such as employment pass for professionals, work permit for laborers, while meeting requirements like minimum salary thresholds, medical insurance, and sector-specific foreign worker quotas. Employers must navigate compliance challenges but may benefit from expedited visa programs like Malaysia Digital for tech workers, with proper documentation and expert guidance being essential for successful deployment. Part 7. Key elements for investors. Malaysian government-supported industries. Malaysia provides attractive investment opportunities in high-growth, technology-driven, and sustainable sectors, supported by robust government incentives and strategic initiatives. These key industries offer significant advantages for foreign investors seeking lucrative returns and long-term growth potential. Malaysia's thriving semiconductor sector, which contributes 13% of global chip exports, offers investors attractive tax incentives like pioneer status with tax ranges from 0 to 10% and investment tax allowances that offer 60% to 100% deductions for high-tech manufacturing. The country's renewable energy push provides green projects with benefits such as GITA and Sarawak's tax-free score initiative, while its medtech sector delivers research and development rebates and fast-track approvals to meet growing healthcare demands. Malaysia actively promotes digital transformation through initiatives like Malaysia Digital MDEC, offering tax incentives for tech sectors, including AI and fintech, while the Penang Tech Park provides specialized support for semiconductor design firms. The country's energy sector attracts investors with preferential tax rates for LNG and petrochemical projects, complemented by Sarawak's 5% SST exemption for strategic developments. Additionally, Malaysia's aerospace industry benefits from its strategic geographic position, offering tax holidays for manufacturing and Industry 4 WRD grants to advance automation and high-value production. Malaysia actively promotes agritech investments by allowing full foreign ownership in high-tech farming and providing subsidies for innovations like vertical farming, positioning the sector as a key solution for food security challenges. The tourism industry, which previously accounted for 15% of GDP, is being revitalized through 6% service tax exemptions for eco-tourism and visa waivers for premium travelers, creating attractive opportunities in hospitality. These government-backed initiatives make both agritech and tourism compelling sectors for investors seeking sustainable growth in Malaysia's evolving economy. Part 8. Key incentives for foreign investors in Malaysia. Malaysia offers foreign investors a highly competitive incentive package, including the Pioneer Status Program that reduces corporate tax rates to 0 to 10% for 5 to 10 years in key sectors like manufacturing, technology, and renewables. The Investment Tax Allowance, ITA, enables 60% to 100% deductions on capital expenditures, while the Green Investment Tax Allowance, GITA, provides additional benefits for sustainable projects such as solar energy and EV production. Multinational corporations can further benefit from a preferential 10% tax rate by setting up regional headquarters in Malaysia, making it an attractive destination for global investors. Malaysia enhances its appeal to foreign investors through comprehensive financial support, including research and development grants up to RM5 million, double tax deduction for exports, and duty-free imports of manufacturing equipment, complemented by sector-specific perks like subsidized land and electronics hubs and 10-year tax holidays in Sarawak's renewable energy projects. The business-friendly environment features 100% foreign ownership in export manufacturing, fast-track license approvals within 1 to 3 months, unrestricted profit repatriation, and additional benefits in special economic zones like Iskandar, Malaysia, with reduced taxes and energy subsidies. These combined incentives, spanning tax advantages, operational ease, and regional perks, create a highly attractive ecosystem for foreign investment, fostering growth across key industries while ensuring regulatory support and profitability. Part 9. Ownership restrictions and industry requirements. Malaysia presents lucrative investment opportunities but enforces ownership limits in strategic sectors, such as financial services with 30% foreign equity cap, telecom sector is 70% cap, and oil and gas sectors have a minimum 30% Buma Putra requirement, while reserving defense and agriculture for locals, with manufacturing allowing full foreign ownership only for export-driven projects. Investors must navigate bureaucratic delays, labor quotas, for example, a 40% foreign worker cap in manufacturing, and regional policy shifts, often requiring Buma Putra partnerships or export-focused models to comply with regulations. To mitigate risks, foreign firms should conduct thorough due diligence, leverage local expertise through agencies like MIDA, and tailor strategies to align with Malaysia's evolving regulatory framework. Part 10. Risks and Challenges for Chinese Investors in Malaysia. Chinese investors in Malaysia face political and regulatory uncertainties, including sudden policy shifts, Bumiputera equity requirements, and bureaucratic delays that can hinder project timelines and profitability. Cultural differences in business practices, labor quotas, for example, a 40% foreign worker cap in manufacturing, and skill shortages at operational complexity, despite some language familiarity within Malaysia's Chinese community. To succeed, investors must adapt to local norms, navigate regulatory constraints, and address workforce challenges through strategic planning and partnerships. Chinese investors in Malaysia face economic risks like ringgit volatility and intense local competition, alongside infrastructure gaps outside major cities that inflate operational costs, while geopolitical tensions may trigger added scrutiny in sensitive sectors despite Malaysia's neutral stance. Common investment failures stem from regulatory oversight, for example, Bumiputera rules, mismanaged joint ventures, cultural clashes in workplace dynamics, and misaligned consumer strategies, highlighting the pitfalls of inadequate preparation and over-reliance on Chinese practices. To succeed, investors must rigorously comply with local laws, cultivate competent Malaysian partnerships, and adapt business models to align with cultural norms and market demands, recognizing that sustainable growth requires patience and localized strategies beyond mere financial investment. Part 11. Conclusion. Invest in Malaysia. Malaysia offers an attractive investment landscape with its strategic location, strong infrastructure, and generous incentives like tax breaks and full foreign ownership in export manufacturing, particularly in booming sectors such as electronics and green energy. However, investors must carefully manage challenges, including ownership restrictions, bureaucratic hurdles, and cultural differences, which necessitate local partnerships and tailored strategies. For Chinese investors, existing economic ties and cultural connections provide an edge, but sustainable success depends on strict regulatory compliance, smart use of incentives, and professional risk management. Malaysia stands out as a high-potential investment hub due to its business-friendly policies, strategic ASEAN position, and alignment with global trends like Industry 4.0 and ESG, offering investors opportunities for sustainable growth despite challenges like ownership restrictions and policy fluctuations. Key advantages include attractive tax incentives and sector-specific support, while success requires navigating operational complexities through local partnerships, strict compliance, and alignment with national economic goals. With proper planning and execution, Malaysia continues to offer significant rewards for strategic, long-term investors. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. We trust it has provided you with a foundational understanding of investing in Malaysia. We would greatly appreciate your feedback and are always eager to hear from you. Surely, if there is any inquiry, please feel free to contact us.